Hi, welcome or welcome back if you're new. My name is Ash Duran, and this is Tales and Nails. I'm going to tell you some tales, and here are my nails. Today, I thought we would talk about some upcoming book releases for the month of June. These are just some that really stuck out to me that I myself would be interested in reading. The first book we're going to talk about is being released June 3rd. Is Flashlight by Susan Choi in the fiction genre. This book description is provided by Amazon.com. One night, Louisa and her father are taking a walk on the beach. He's carrying a flashlight. He cannot swim. Later, Louisa is found washed up by the tide, barely alive, and her father is gone. She is only 10 years old. Flashlight chases the shockwaves of one family's catastrophe. Louisa is an only child of parents who have severed themselves from the past. Her father, Sirk, an ethnic Korean born and raised in Japan, lost touch with his family when his family brought into promised post-war Pyongyang and relocated to DPRK. Her American mother, Anne or Annie, is estranged from her family after a reckless adventure in her youth. And then there's Tobias, Annie's or Anne's illegitimate son, whose reappearance in their lives will have astonishing consequences. What really happened to Louisa's father? Why did he take Louisa and her mother to Japan just before he disappeared? And how can we love or make sense of our lives when there's so much we can't see? This book is 464 pages and is published by Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. And I also want to add that it is also listed as a coming of age story. So this one stuck out to me because of the beautiful, gorgeous cover. I know we're not supposed to read a book by its cover, but you can see what it's about based on the cover. So it sounds very enticing, very interesting, and I would love to check in on it. It's definitely going on my TBR. All right, next up is June 10th, and we have so many books being released on June 10th. I think the rest on this list are being released on June 10th. So first up, we have Realm of Thieves by Karina Hall or Halle, and this is listed under paranormal and fantasy romance or romantasy. And this is the book description provided by penguinrandomhouse.com. Two thieves vie for dominance in the illegal dragon trade, putting both their lives and their hearts on the line in this scorching romantasy. From New York Times bestselling author Karina Hall. For Brinlyn Eyre, crime and survival have always gone hand in hand. Ever since she escaped the fanatical dragon-worshipping cult that controls her homeland, she's had to carve out a life of doing the unthinkable, stealing dragon eggs. Egg theft is illegal and in most cases, fatal. To breach a dragon's nest means a harrowing journey through the ancient wards spelled to keep the monstrous beasts confined. Dragons can't get out, and only those with a death wish can get in. Despite the risks, dragon eggs are highly coveted for their magic. An illegal trade flourishes under competing criminal empires, and Brinla's loyalty has always been to the highest bidder. Until she finds herself kidnapped and blackmailed by Lord Andor, a formidable lieutenant of House Colbeck, and thrust into the dangerous game of rivaling dynasties. Brinla and Andor clash at every turn, sparking heat in ways Brinla's never felt before. But in a world that's prophesied to return to the dragons, and rife with betrayal and secrets at every turn, how close to the flames is she willing to stand? This book is 432 pages and is published by Ace. This one obviously stood out to me because I love dragons, I love fantasy, I love romantasy, and we might have an enemies to lovers, which is my preferred trope in books. I haven't read anything else by this author yet, but I see that she has other books like Realm of Thieves, River of Shadows, and The Royals Next Door, which I saw are, mostly liked. So I am excited to read this book. It's on my TBR. Next up, also being released on June 10th, is Six Wild Crowns by Holly Race, and it is listed in the fantasy genre, sci-fi fantasy, but also I would say historical fiction or fantasy. And here we go. This description is provided by hatchetbookgroup.com. No king can rule them all. Six Wild Crowns is a breathtaking epic fantasy of dragons, courtly intrigue, sapphic yearning, and the wives of Henry VIII as you've never seen them before. As tradition has it, the king of Elbin must marry 6 queens and magically bind each of them to one of the island's palaces, or the kingdom will fall. Clever, ambitious Boleyn is determined to be her beloved Henry's favorite queen. She relishes the game at court and the political rivalries with his other wives. Seymour is the opposite. Originally sent to Boleyn's court as a reluctant spy and assassin, she ends up catching Henry's eye and is forced into a loveless marriage with the king. But when the 2 queens become the unlikeliest of things, friends and allies, the balance of power begins to shift. Together, they uncover a dark and deadly truth at the heart of the island's magic. Boleyn and Seymour's only hope of survival rests on uniting all 6 of the rival queens, but Henry will never let that happen. This book is 416 pages and is published by Orbit. Obviously, we can all tell why this book fascinated me. Dragons, fantasy, amazing. But what you don't know is that I'm kind of a history nerd. I love down anything related to the Tudors, just like monarchies, this time, especially Henry VIII and all of his wives, all of them. Love it down. And I love reading books set in this time, watching movies set in this time. Absolutely amazing. So this one, just ticking all of the boxes, and I'm here for it. This one is on my TBR. I did wishlist it for an arc, and we'll see if I end up getting it. But if not, I'll probably get the ebook when it releases on June 10th. Okay, next, also being released on June 10th. Hi. So, funny thing happened. All of the audio in the last clip just decided not to work. I think my mic died. I charged it. Let me face it this way. Sorry if you heard that. So my mic died, and I didn't notice because I didn't realize little light was not on. So all of the audio just doesn't exist in the clips that I recorded. So let's pick up where I left off, okay? The next book is also going to be released on June 10th. Is Joy Goddess, Alelia Walker and the Harlem Renaissance, written by Alelia Bundles. Dubbed the Joy Goddess of Harlem's 1920s by poet Langston Hughes, Alelia Walker, daughter of millionaire entrepreneur Madam C.J. Walker, and the author's great-grandmother and namesake, is a fascinating figure whose legendary parties and Dark Tower salon helped define the Harlem Renaissance. After inheriting her mother's hair care enterprise, Alelia would become America's first high-profile Black heiress and a prominent patron of the arts. Joy Goddess takes readers inside her 3 New York homes, a mansion, a townhouse, and a pied-à-terre, where she entertained Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, Paul Robeson, Florence Mills, James Weldon Johnson, Carl Van Vechten, W.E.B. Du Bois, and other cultural, social, and intellectual luminaries of the Roaring Twenties. Now, based on extensive research and Walker's personal correspondence, her great-granddaughter creates a meticulous, nuanced portrait of a charismatic woman struggling to define herself as a wife, mother, and businesswoman outside of her mother's sphere. Enjoy Goddess, Alelia's radiant personality and impresario instincts at the center of a vast artistic social world where she flourished as a fashion trendsetter and international traveler, are brought to a vivid and unforgettable life. This book is 384 pages and is published by Scribner. So the reason why this book stuck out to me is because I've heard so much about Madame C.J. Walker and her career, but I haven't heard much of her daughter and her daughter's career and her life. So it would be nice to be able to bridge that gap in my history, in my missing history, that is. Also being released on June 10th is Kuleana, a story of family, land, and legacy in old Hawaii by Sara Kehaulani Gu. And I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this name. So sorry. and it is listed under biography and memoir. Getting the information from this book on Macmillan.com. From an early age, Sara Kehaulani was enchanted by her family's land in Hawaii. The vast area on the rugged shores of Maui's east side, given to King Kamehameha III in 1848, extends from mountain to sea, encompassing 90 acres of lush, undeveloped rainforest jungle along the rocky coastline and a massive 16th century temple with a mysterious past. When a property tax bill arrives with a 500% increase, Sara and her family members are forced to make a decision about the property, fight to keep the land, or sell to the next offshore millionaire. When Sara returns to Maui from the mainland, she reconnects with her great-uncle Take and uncovers the story of how much land her family has already lost over generations. Centuries-old artifacts from the temple and the insidious displacement of native Hawaiians by systemic forces. Part journalistic offering and part memoir, Kuleana interrogates deeper questions of identity, legacy, and what we owe to those who come before and after us. Sara's breathtaking story of unexpected homecomings, familial hardship, and fierce devotion to ancestry creates a refreshingly new narrative about Hawaii, its native people, and the struggle to hold on to their land and culture today. This book stood out to me because I know very little about Native Hawaiian, um, their personal struggles. I know that they do struggle, as all indigenous groups do, to hold on to their lands. Amid all of this consumerism and just corporations buying up land and pricing people out, gentrification, and things of the like. And I would love to learn more about it, especially from the mouth of someone who is affected by it. I would also like to, I forgot to mention earlier that I'm getting these books off of a list provided by libraryjournal.com. It is the pre-pub alert, the complete list for June 2025 titles article. If you want to check it out, I'll link it in the description down below. So that's where I got all these books from. Clearly, I couldn't do a video of all of the books here. It would be a very long video. I just handpicked the ones that I personally would like to read. I just wanted to have some honorable mentions. One is on this list and one is not. So the one that is on this list is The Story of Abba, Melancholy Undercover by Jan Gradval. And this is under biography and memoir. So I love Abba. Who doesn't love a good dancing queen song? You know what I mean? So that's interesting. I would love to read about them. And the next book I want to talk about is The Chosen Queen by Sam Davey. It is part of the Pendragon Prophecy series. I haven't read any other books in the series. I don't know if this is the first, but I do have the arc for this one, so that's interesting. That's exciting. So let's do a little shout out. This is what the book is about. I'm getting this information off of simonandschuster.com. Igraine, destined mother of King Arthur, takes center stage for a powerful feminist retelling of Camelot. The stories of Camelot do not begin with a sword in the stone, but rather with a twisted chain of murder, magic, and deceit. A Welsh princess, educated on the Lake Isle of Avalon, Igraine, is now happily married to the Cornish war Duke Gorlois, a match arranged for political advantage that blossomed into love. When Gorlois begins to forsake the ancient magics, however, it creates a strain between them, as well as friction between Igraine and Vivian, the Lady of the Lake and High Priestess to the goddess. While Igraine and Gorlois are visiting Uther Pendragon, King of Britain, at his castle, Uther makes it obvious to the entire court that he desires Igraine to be his queen. Later, he accosts her in the castle corridors, and when Igraine informs Gorlois of what happened, her husband gathers his people and abruptly leaves the festivities, declaring war. England has only recently found peace, and Merlin pleads with Gorlois to pledge allegiance to Uther. He speaks of a prophecy that reveals Igraine's son is destined to wield the mighty sword of Excalibur, unite the British Isles. He will be the fabled once and future king, but the prophecy does nothing to dissuade Gorlois, whose pride will keep him bent toward war, no matter the cost to his people. In the bloody aftermath of civil war, Igraine bravely assumes the role of leader at Tintagel Castle, encouraging the women left behind to continue working the fields to show their devotion to the goddess and instructing her two daughters, Morgause and Morgane, to harness their own powers. She plans a grand summer solstice celebration, inviting their allies. On the eve of the solstice, Gorlois unexpectedly returns to Tintagel. But it is only after she lies with who she believes to be her beloved husband that Igraine learns the full extent of Merlin and Vivian's devious plot. Igraine is chosen by the goddess, by the Lady of the Lake, by Merlin, and by Uther Pendragon. But in the end, she will choose her own destiny, and in doing so, inadvertently set the stage for the blood feud that will become the canker at the heart of Camelot. This book is 352 pages long and is published through Diversion Books. It is fiction, fantasy, historical fiction, fairy tales, folklore, and mythology. So like I mentioned before, I do have the arc for this book. I'm only a couple of chapters in, but so far I do like the writing style. I don't know much about King Arthur and Camelot, besides what I know from like media and what's portrayed in certain movies. So I'm very excited. I don't know where the story can go. I have no real spoilers. I'm very excited. So, did any of these books pique your fancy? Were they already on your TBR, or did I just put them on your radar? Let me know if you add them to your TBR in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out the link that I'm adding to the description so you can see which books are coming out in June. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and hit that bell notification so that you can get notified every time I post. I am trying to keep a schedule and post Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but I don't have a set time for my uploads yet, so that notification bell will come in handy. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and until next time, bye guys!